We are hitting the top of the hour now. I'm Carol Costello along with Hala Gurani. We'd like to welcome viewers from around the world on our sister station, CNN International, and we just want to keep looking at these incredible pictures out of Cairo, Egypt.
Absolutely, Carol. These are unprecedented pictures. We heard it from Ben Wiedemann. In modern Egyptian history, we're seeing the military on the streets of Cairo. This hasn't happened in a generation.
Something really fascinating about this is they're treating the military with such respect. The riot police that kind of hate.
Well, the riot police has cracked down rather harshly on protesters over the last few days. The military possibly seen as perhaps a more stable institution. So perhaps for that reason they're being welcomed. And I know Ben Wiedemann, who's been covering Egypt for years, has some perspective on this. Ben, tell us how ordinary Egyptians out on the streets of the Egyptian capital are greeting the military and why.
About the military, and the reason is that the military has always been very hesitant to become involved in the nitty-gritty of politics. They've always been very hesitant to come out into the streets and put down unrest because they don't want to be seen as the Egyptian army killing Egyptians in the street. The most recent time they were out was in 1985 when they had to put down riots by the police of all institutions. And in 1977 when there were bread riots across the country when the price of bread was increased during the time of former Egyptian President Anwar Sadat.
Ben, I hate to interrupt, Ben, but are you looking at this picture? It seems like they're overtaking that military vehicle.
Well, they're overtaking it, but not in an aggressive or violent way. More.
And can you understand?
They're chanting, their support for the army.
So what is the goal here? I mean, the army is controlled by President Mubarak, right? So they respect the army, but not the president. So how does that jive with each other?
Well, of course, it is protected. It is, the nominal head of the army is President Hosni Mubarak. But it's seen as an institution in and of itself, not as an appendage of the president. And, of course, Egyptians remember the army's involvement in, for instance, the October 1973 war when, at least in the initial phases, the Egyptian army was able to drive Israeli forces away from the Suez Canal, an area that had been occupied by Israel in the 1967 war. So President Mubarak has been very careful to cultivate the military, to make sure that they're well paid, they're well equipped, that the Army Corps is happy with its lot, and that was part of simply the process, which is quite common in Middle Eastern politics, of placating the army, making sure that the army will not move against you. So in that sense, they are associated with the president, but as I said, they've always been hesitant to be involved or forced or compelled to put down public unrest. That has always been the job on a sort of regular routine basis of the massive and omnipresent security forces, the intelligence services, the secret police, the ordinary police.
Gotcha. Ben Wiedemann, stand by. We want to bring in former